I have to be honest with you and say that the best decade to be born in was the 1980s. In fact, when I was born, I looked it up a few weeks ago, the number one at the time of my birth was Take Your Breath Away by Berlin. So I've been following that mantra ever since, taking a few breaths away in my time. And I'm not biased, I don't think, but I think there was a lot of fun being brought up in the 90s as a 90s child, where there were no mobile phones, where we used to use the Walkman, if you remember the Walkman, buying your tapes from Woolworths. And then, of course, we went to CDs. You'd have to hold the CD player then, like that, on the school bus, if you remember those times. And we used to go to institutions like Woolworths and the massive Toys R Us's. Do you remember them? Those massive things. When I was a child, if we wanted to go to the cinema, there was no Odeon or View cinemas like here. We'd have to go down to Port Talbot, to the Plaza. And I still remember that the Plaza was somewhere where the reel would have to be changed halfway through. So the old biddies would come out with those things of ice cream to sell you the ice cream halfway through. I wonder if you can remember those days. Some of you may remember the White Rose Cinema in Pont Newydd. That's a little while ago. Or perhaps there was that little one around the corner, wasn't there, in Old Cwmbran. There was the old Flea Cinema. One of the last films that I saw in the cinema in Port Talbot, in the Port Talbot Plaza, was the Disney film Matilda. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a hoot of a film. It's a great film. It tells the story of a gifted young girl named Matilda Wormwood, who's part of a family where she just doesn't fit in to either her parents or her siblings. Her parents and brother are distant and crude, and far from being in an environment where she is able to flourish and grow, she finds herself isolated and alone. And it's only when she arrives at her school and having to face the bullying principal, Miss Trunchbull, that she finds a place where she can indeed grow and flourish, where she can be nurtured through the care of her teacher, if you remember, Miss Honey, who then, of course, becomes an adoptive parent to her. Belonging is a really powerful thing. Each of us are made to belong. Belonging is a fundamental human need. Because if a person feels that they do not belong, whether it's to a family or to a school group or perhaps a community, then the consequences to this are disastrous. Some of us may have experienced the tip of the iceberg here at that initial lockdown period, when our support networks were put under immense strain in that initial lockdown period, particularly if we didn't have the facilities at the time to be able to go online. We only have to open our eyes to see the destructive force of fragmentation in our world, all of the infighting that seems to be going on, the conflicts that have ensued as a result. We see with this fragmentation also in the differing attitudes we have towards each other. And the examples, I think, could go on and on. If you look at the front of those booklets, amazingly put together by the parish priest, thank you very much, you will see that on the Centenary logo is the Latin phrase Fraternitas in Ludus. 7 years of seminary were sort of paid off, roughly translating to Brotherhood in the game. Fraternity, Brotherhood in the game. What we come together to celebrate today, to begin today in this opening Mass, is far more than simply celebrating the centenary of a physical presence. That's a little bit of it, And we'll see some of that in the photographs outside. What we celebrate together is that word, fraternitas. What we celebrate today is the beginning of that brotherhood, that fraternity, that core element of the Celtic community, which brings about a true and authentic sense of belonging, bringing peoples and cultures together. At today's Mass, then, we are able to look back over the last 100 years with immense gratitude and thanksgiving at all the people who have contributed to the work and the vision of the Celtic, who have provided and supported those initiatives which help to bring people together, to help to cultivate and support a real sense of belonging, which goes far beyond the pitch and far beyond the club bar, but goes out into the world, into the friendships that I know have been made, into the support that has been so readily given to those people in need. And look, as you leave in this evening, go and look at the display pictures. What we are able to celebrate today are those little roots which were planted by the parish all of those years ago, and how those roots, as the message on the inside says, has been able to take root and grow and go from strength to strength. I would like to offer all of you, on behalf of this, to the community, my personal congratulations. The Celtic Club is a pivotal player in our society and has a lot to offer in helping to shape the future of the wider society through the positive impact and the influence that you have on our young people, to be prepared to make a difference in our community by offering our young people the space where they can truly belong and so flourish and become those people that God has created us to be. Mine's a large glass of wine later on. Amen.